Hi everyone, Simon Jacobson here, another episode of Meaningful Live. Where is God when you need Him? This program is dedicated by Robert Klein in loving memory of Frederick Mindell, a true friend to many and my dearest friend, whose place in my heart can never be filled. Yes, indeed. One of the biggest questions I'm ever asked, is where was God when I needed Him most? A loss, a tragedy, terrible setbacks. And some people actually, those type of traumas actually can cause them, as some will argue, to lose faith in God. Famously, Elie Wiesel, in his classic book Night, writes how his God of his childhood went up in smoke in the incinerators of the crematoria in Auschwitz with the ashes of 1.5 million innocent children. What can you say? I never tried to explain that, never tried to answer. It's the sacred space of a person who's suffered and has no answers. The greatest, most brilliant mind cannot speak to a bleeding heart. That's the fact. And as such, you have the humility, be silent is always the ultimate answer. But here's the interesting paradox. The same God that we can be angry at for forsaking us in our time of need also becomes the force that is the only force that can offer us solace. As quite a few Holocaust survivors have said, I didn't lose my faith in God. I lost my faith in man. And I realized the only thing I had left was God. Or as a woman whose face was blown off by a terrorist attack told me once, I had nothing left. And trust in God, its power you can only recognize when you have nothing left but that trust. So there you have it. On one hand, you can blame God. On the other hand, it's only God that can bring us some comfort. So I want to talk about that. Because really it comes down to what's our perception of God. As you may know, I don't like the word God, frankly, because it's a word that's loaded, means so many different things to different people, and that means it really means nothing to many of us. It's a word we use. Is God some guy sitting with a long white beard in heaven on a throne waiting to strike us with lightning when we misbehave? As I often share, Lev Yitzchak Berditchev, the great Hasidic mystic and master, said to a self-proclaimed atheist, the God you don't believe in, I also don't believe in. If God was that guy on the throne that I just mentioned, that nursery school fairy tale, myth, I'd be an atheist too. But if you understand God as being a reality beyond us, and that we are one little piece of this awesome, mysterious reality, it becomes very clear that a part can never fully understand the whole. We barely can even understand so much about ourselves. The human brain, how much do we know about the human brain? With all the science and technology, how much do we know really about the nature of the universe? How deep down the rabbit hole goes once you get into the subatomic particles, into the sub-DNA? What do we know? And it's not to minimize our knowledge. It's on the contrary, it's to see the vastness, the unfathomable, majestic mystique of reality. As a guy told me, he says, the longer I'm married, the less I understand my spouse. And that doesn't make him love her less, he says. Love more. It's fine, you don't have to understand everything. The mind is overrated. The mind is a machine. How much can a computer understand? It understands a certain part, a very important part. But life is so much more than that. If you can connect to that, more than that higher reality, that's what gives you literally superhuman strength. And I would submit that is the force that has given so many people hope in life. That gives the mother, who all the doctors have written off her autistic child, you'll never have a relationship with him. And the mother says, no, I will. It doesn't heal the child, but something happens and doctors are amazed. They found a connection. It's the driving force behind the Wright brothers, who I'm sure were told by everyone, you're never going to build a flying ship that weighs tons upon tons in the sky, just because you see birds. Every hope, every dream, every fantasy comes from a connection to something greater than the pure rational empirical proofs of life. It comes to understand that the sensory tools we have, sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell, are limited. For all their power, they're limited. And there's so much we will never see, and we will never hear, and we will never taste, touch, or smell, but it's as real as everything that we do see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, even more real. I would submit that the most real the more real it is, the less we have tools, instruments to measure, to grasp. Called the super-rational, the super-sensory. So when we ask the question, where's God when I need him? The question should really be, what is God? What is it that gives you strength to move on even when everyone gives up? When the situation seems hopeless, despite all odds? It is the infatigable and indestructible spirit within each of us that, yes, is divine, called by any name you like, that connects us to something that's greater than what seems to make sense in the here and now, in the short term. And it's our greatest resource. It's what allows us to, as I said, dream, aspire, hope, reconcile, repair after things have been broken. I would say is the essence of all therapy, of all healing. The belief that, yes, that even though something may have happened, there may have been a betrayal, there may have been a violation, a trauma, that there's something greater that I can access. Doesn't mean it comes easily. So in the strangest of ways, God may be there even more when we don't think he's there. And I even hesitate saying he, because I think he, she are just, again, stereotypes that we humans use just to be able to find language. That God is there even when God, precisely when it seems that God is so concealed. And that's why the Psalm says, God has established darkness as his hiding place. Things are not always defined by what you see and what's revealed. You have to look at the results. I see people who've been devastated, losing a parent at a young age, losing a child. And I'm not coming here to explain or answer, because I don't have answers to these questions. But I see the strength. Where do they get the composure, the presence, the aplomb to move forward? Because there's a deeper spirit in there. And you'll say, what about those that don't have that strength, that have given up? I'm not judging them. We never judge anyone. But I will say, for some reason, they weren't able to access that strength. And there could be many reasons. It's often the support system we have, the people around us. What else is going on in your life? You see the same thing. Two people may have the same disease, and for one reason, one person's immunity system seems to be stronger than another's. And it's not necessarily only purely the immune system. It could be the friends they have. You have two people lying in a hospital bed, and one has guests and friends and gifts. What do you think? Of course that builds up willpower, strengthens a person's fight. Someone has no guests, no friends, sadly. That's demoralizing. So there are many, many factors. And what we want to do is introduce into our lives these factors that help us, yes, reach something that is beyond the mortal, beyond the human, and is very much part of who we are. So it's not just redefining God, it's also redefining ourselves. What are you capable of? Are you just another mortal creature, comes and goes, born and dies? Or do we have something that is everlasting? The love, the values, the positive things we leave in this world that live on. Those are the things that elevate us and allow us, as one of the great Hasidic masters said, when you're bound above, you don't fall below. We all need to be bound to something higher than us. It's just impossible to endure life, the existential loneliness of life, and all its hostile challenges of a duplicitous world around us. Everybody looking to exploit for their own needs, some with innocent intentions and some with not such innocent intentions. But when you have that higher reality that is embedded right here, the center of your very being, that's what gives us the ability. And holding on to that is holding on to God. And it doesn't always come in the shape and form that you expect. But you have to be humble in the process, because humility empties you of your ego and of your control and your need for control and for your need to understand everything. And when you're able to surrender that, suspend that, that higher reality emerges. So where's God when you need Him? Right there. As the Kotzker Rebbe, as a child, they asked him, where is God? He responded, wherever you let Him in. Wherever you let Him in. In some traditions, you come to the master. The first time you meet him, you're supposed to bring a cup of water. Seems to be like a form of service, of submission, of commitment. And the master takes the cup of water, pours it out. And you're like all insulted. Is that a lesson in humility? And he gives you the cup and says, come back to me when your cup looks like this. Empty, not full. A full cup can be filled, no matter how rich the liquid it's filled with. There's that type of suspension. The suspension we experience when we're in the presence of an awesome natural sight. Or when we see the birth of a new child. Or we experience some other miracle in life and something opens up and we're overwhelmed. We're like, no way, I absolutely cannot contain this. Those are magical moments, are the ones that open us up, for a moment at least, to a higher reality. And that's what we need to do in times of need, times of challenge, and times of suffering even. Is it easy? No. Especially when we're in deep pain and anguish. And it consumes us. But it consumes you because you're an entity. Empty yourself of your identity and your entity, and it will consume less because there's less to consume. So ironically, the more you are, the more hurt you become. The less you are, there's less to hurt. Look, one individual came to his teacher, to his master, and said, wherever I go, people are stepping on me. And he responded with a smile. He said, if you didn't spread yourself out everywhere, nobody would step on you. Maybe it's time to contract yourself a bit. And that indeed is the secret. So the very question actually should lead us to say, where's God when I need him? He's there. But maybe get the I out of the picture and it will emerge. It will emerge in the strength that you have. Instead of focusing on your need, focus on helping someone else, on serving, on doing something for someone. And then you'll see God emerge into your life. Don't focus on yourself, focus on others. And there's so many other methods and ways to achieve that. I'm not sure where this originates from, but I'm sure everyone's seen the greeting card or the message with the image of someone walking on a beach, sand, and you see two sets of footsteps. You're walking, someone walking beside you, you only see those two footsteps. And then at some point, you only see one set of footsteps. And the point being is that this is the journey of your life. And God walks beside you. And all the suffering moments, the difficult moments in life, there's only one set of footsteps. So you say to God, where were you? Why didn't you walk beside me as you did in good times? And God said, that's the times when I carried you. So the one set of footsteps are actually not yours, it's God's footsteps. Understanding that life, all its mystery and beauty and even pain, you're being carried. And it's the most difficult times when you only see yourself because you don't see that one that's carrying you. When things are going well, you feel free, independent. You don't need any help. My friends, that's tremendous power when you come to recognize that with humility. Never take for granted that you breathe, your life, the gift of life. Just because everything is going smooth doesn't mean it isn't a great gift. Recognize that when things are going well. Then when things are not going well, remember, there's still a force that's driving you. Yes, it could be very painful, but you're not forsaken, you're not alone. May we only have good and beautiful revealed occasions in our lives. But when there is some form of concealment, some form of sense of feeling alone, you're never alone. Never. Simon Jacobson here, meaningfullife.com. This message is meaningful to you. Please share with others. Love to hear your feedback, thoughts, comments. And please subscribe to our offerings, to our YouTube channel. Be blessed. And remember, you're never alone.